right, let me get this screen up over here, man. What up, man? Hopefully everybody can hear me. It's your boy Saul G once again, broadcasting live. I was supposed to be broadcasting live from Africa today, but um, yeah, we had a little issue with British Airways, so I don't even want to give them no shout out. I don't even want to say shout out to British Airways, but yeah, apparently based on everything going on in the world right now, there's some additional things that you need to do besides just provide a negative test and do all the other 85 sheets of paperwork that they want you to do. So uh, that broadcast will be coming a little later. Shout out to Cali Bev checking in. What's up over there on Facebook? Shout out to Skissy Tobias over there on YouTube checking in. That's what's up, man. Glad to see y'all again. But I got a great show for y'all tonight, and we're gonna talk about the women tonight. We also gonna talk about the men as well. And I want, if you want to, please always, you can always call in and chime in on camera, off camera. Just I just need you to wave to me on camera so I can make sure you're not a bot or somebody dog hit the, I don't know, somebody pet dialed in or something crazy. So I just want to make sure you're an actual person. Then you can choose whether or not to be on camera or off camera. But we're gonna definitely have a nice discussion. Yeah, man. Shout out to my boy Anthony watching. Yeah, I was looking forward to the broadcast too. I already had a nice little background and everything set up, man, with nice plant life, man. Maybe some birds. I don't know, man. I was getting ready for it to be in those type of spirits. But hey, everything happened. If you're watching on Facebook, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can go ahead and be glad that that's even up because yesterday Facebook went down. So it is what it is. What is the YouTube link? I'm about to post that in there real quick because I ain't gonna lie, I'm running a little bit behind, but I still want to be on time. So I am going to post um, that link into the Facebook chat in 1 second. But I'm gonna go ahead and pay a couple of bills as well because we got we got another sponsor from my guy over there, man. I swear, man, that boy Birdie, he probably gonna have more businesses than I don't know. If you can think of anybody who got a lot of business, I might not know nobody who got more businesses than this dude. But yeah, first of all, it's football season. So if you are into the games and things like that, then you can definitely go check out goodmoneypicks.com. So let me roll that while I get this link posted for you there real quick. So let's go ahead and check out goodmoneypicks.com.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up. Ooh, I've been on the flex since flex on.
All right, so that gave me a little time. So there you go, Miss Callie. I just posted the link. If you do want to watch me over there, YouTube, so then that way you can subscribe to the channel. But what I always tell people is when you subscribe, the other thing that you have to do is you have to hit the notification bell. You got to put all. I ain't gonna spam you. I don't go live every other day. If I'm doing a show, I'm doing a show. If I'm not, then you ain't gonna hear nothing from me. I might upload some content. You can go out there, all my Falcons fan. Check out 28-3. I posted that on there real quick. Speaking of 28-3, man, if you saw the Falcons game, it kind of sort of goes back to what I had been talking before about the Falcons. But if I'm not mistaken, I got a little bit of 20. I'm gonna play about 5 seconds before I get into it. But yeah, you can go watch the whole video over there at the Libre TV. If you type in Libre TV on YouTube, look for the cloud, right? Don't just go to the random Libre TV. That's going to be probably some Spanish channel. Type in Libre TV, look for the cloud, click on there, click subscribe, and then click the notifications. But yeah, to all my Falcons fans, man, it's about time for 28-3 again. So I'm going to give you about 10 seconds of this while I do some more uploading behind the scenes. So y'all enjoy my little Falcons tribute real quick.
What up, Atlanta? Another NFL season has arrived. It's time to rise up and get beat down, you dig? Feel me on this one. The morning has come, and y'all, I can't wait. NFL Sunday, opening day.
All right, so you're going to have to check the rest of that song out over there on on the Libre TV. Like I said, Libre TV on YouTube. So like I said, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. But what I would like to do is get right into the conversation. What I have to do here is I gotta go to YouTube. I'm sorry, I gotta go to Google. That thing called Google Slides. So we're gonna be doing a little PowerPoint. So this gonna be a little different of something I'm trying tonight. So I'm actually trying to. It ain't gonna be like class. So you can go ahead and kind of forget that. But I am gonna give you a nice kind of little lesson here on how I want to do some things, man. Because I think we got to really kind of break this down. And I think a lot of times we don't actually go into this the way we should. So let's talk about men first, all right? And for some reason, Google Slides don't want to work, so this is gonna have to be on the fly here. So here we go. Men, men over time, we've been established as you know what? I can just pull it up and I can just read off of it. I don't have my visual. I do apologize, but once again, I didn't want to take. I wanted to be on time, so let's first of all define what chivalry is for men because that's the established code, right? Chivalry. And a lot of people don't know this, but chivalry is just the medieval knightly system with its own religious, moral, and social code. That is what chivalry is, okay? So if we kind of go what chivalry is, and I put this on the slide called chivalry in action, it's basically involved in the numerous actions such as opening, holding doors. Let me check on the comments. Got you. Okay, I see you, Callie, over there on YouTube now. That's what's up. All right. Chivalry has involved in numerous actions such as opening, holding doors, protecting women, taking out the trash, pumping somebody's gas, buying flowers or gifts on the first date, or even paying for dates. This is how things have been have kind of sort of transferred in. Shout out to my boy Birdie Check it did, man. Yes, sir. Good money all the time. Um, so that's what chivalry is kind of mean. It's basically like a code that men are expected to do. If you're a man, it's perfectly fine for a woman to ask you to do this, and it's perfectly acceptable. You know what I mean? Oh, if you don't hold the door, you can actually be looked at as being a bad man or whatever the case may be if you don't kind of uphold this basic standard that we've set for men. So when I was thinking about how I wanted to address this title, I was thinking to myself, and I was like, wait a minute, well, men have this code such as chivalry that's been around, I mean, since the medieval times, but nowadays it means something. You used to see some of the older films, the man would take his jacket off and put the jacket over in the puddle. Those are like chivalrous type acts. So we know what it looks like for men. But as far as women were concerned, not saying that y'all were supposed to be concerned about some sort of code for knighthood or whatever, but what is a woman's responsibility? What is there anything? And like I said, I have some things that I have written down that I'm going to go over tonight. This create a basic code. And the women out there, of course, I want y'all to chime in and make it seem like if what I'm asking is too outlandish, is it too far gone? Is it too much? Or is there basic things that we should be able to expect in women the same way with men? Hey, bro, hold the door for your woman. We teach these to our sons, supposedly, right? Some sort of way they're supposed to conduct themselves. Is there anything that women can do the same way that it doesn't, like, for example, there's nothing negative in chivalry, right? There's nothing negative at all. Holding doors, nothing wrong with that. Pumping a woman's gas, nothing wrong with that. Some people say, oh, well, it's I'm gonna get to that in a second, Callie, because that's the one thing somebody told me when I was trying to get some feedback from women today, and I'm gonna get to that in a second. But are there some agreed upon things that a woman should do? And I said, I came over these things for men. I call them 3 Ps. Then I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to the women. A basic man is supposed to provide the 3 Ps, which is to provide, protect, and procreate, which basically means you're supposed to take care of your woman, you're supposed to protect your woman, and if that's what's on the agenda, you should be able to reproduce with your woman, whatever the case may be, if that's what you want to do, or at least satisfy that area in the bedroom. 3 things a man doing. If you're doing all 3 of those things, depending on who you procreating with, as long as you're procreating with somebody else, that's what it is. So let's get into a woman's place. Not a place, I'm sorry. Let's get into, let's start to build the code. Okay, and the one thing I want to discuss first was, I believe this one should be universal. I believe that all women should be able to agree with this one. I shouldn't get any pushback when I say what I'm about to say next, because we're talking about women. Okay. Now, first thing I want to do, sorry, let me run back one more time. I just want to kind of go back to see like where these codes were developed from a historical perspective, because I think if we go back and look at history and we look at kind of how women have developed over the generations, I think it'll give us a little bit more of a perspective. But like I said, I wish I had my nice little slides for this, but I apologize. I didn't want to run late. So here we go. I just basically got it like this: in the East, right? Which would be like China, Japan, places like that. It said women were perceived as the yin, okay? And were described as soft, yielding, passive, receptive, reflective, and tranquil. So I'm going to say that again. In the East, women were perceived as the yin, versus the yang, right? And they were described as soft, yielding, passive, receptive, reflective, and tranquil. Okay. And then it's a little side note was men could divorce their wives for, I think, at least 7 reasons, including barrenness. These next two were kind of, I'm like, man, we lucky that we don't live in, they kind of updated this because, I mean, I know a lot of people that will be divorced right now just for these reasons, but talkativeness, right? So if a woman talked too much, her husband was allowed to divorce her, and jealousy. 2 reasons why, yeah, I mean, they definitely had to update that code, or wouldn't nobody be married if those were the standards. And it says that women could only divorce their husbands if it was mutually agreed upon, all right? So then that's what was going on in the Eastern society. Then if you look at what was going on in Europe, you basically kind of had the, not the same thing, but a basic generic thing. And then we're going to get to Africa here in a second. But in Europe, the women were learning how to do things like around the house, how to take care of the chickens, cook, and like from the lower class, right? They were learning how to cook. They were learning how to like take care of the household, chickens, sew, I forget what they call it. Like you had to learn how to spin a loom and do all that things. Be able to separate the wool to be able to make clothes, do things like that. So they basically had like skills that they would learn in the house. If you were in the upper class, like the royalty or just the upper class, then you learned how to read and write. Most peasant women didn't learn how to read and write. So if you shift that over to Africa, Africa was one of the few societies where men and women were not on equal footing, but they were the closest to being on equal footing, because you saw women in society not only be queens, not only be generals, not only be like high priestesses and things like that. They were able to obtain high positions, and unlike Europe, it was based on more or less merit versus just being born into what they would call, like, I believe in Game of Thrones, I'm gonna use that terminology, a highborn family. So it wasn't necessarily based on that. So, and women were able to learn and do some of the same skills as men. So in African society, it was a little bit more balanced. So let's get into it. All right. Women. I just want to give you that little backdrop real quick. So the first thing that I said that should be in this code is cleanliness. Okay. I don't think any woman out there should be able to disagree. This is the light one, right? All women should be clean, right? That means, your house, right? Your body, the way you smell, right? These are like a basic thing that all women should be able to agree upon and say, hey, look, if you smell bad, like that's just bad. If your house is not clean, that is bad. All women should be able to band together, come together and say, at a bare minimum, every woman should be clean. You shouldn't have bad breath. You know what I mean? Definitely shouldn't have no type of body odor. Any odors in any other places are to me unacceptable. So I think starting at cleanliness, and you can say, well, what about men? And I'm like, well, historically speaking, like, yeah, I'm not going to say men should walk around with any of those things either, but especially not the women, because if the women let that go, then society is going to be in trouble. So let's start off with cleanliness. Now I want to go back to what my girl Callie said. She said women should say thank you when somebody opens the door for her. And that was the exact same thing that my friend told me over on Twitter when we were talking today. My friend Trey Sheik, she told me women should say thank you. Like, I think that's one of these universal rules, but that's going to be more of the actions. Okay. So number one, women should be clean. Cleanliness is a very important thing. I think that can be agreed upon. I don't think we have to fight, even though I'm a man. I don't think it's offensive to say that women should be clean. You know what I mean? You should be smelling good, looking good. That's just what women are designed to do. Like, I don't really like talking about that other dude that much, because I don't necessarily agree with not everything he says, but I do agree to the certain extent that women are supposed to be like, you're supposed to be the pretty ones. You know what I mean? You're supposed to be the ones that embody beauty. Don't mean that we just terrible looking. You know what I mean? But at the same time, women are, you're supposed to be the embodiment of beauty on this earth. When we look at something that is beauty, it's supposed to be a woman. It's not supposed to be a man. You understand what I'm saying? So that's just a second side note. So we can say that's an action, right? The second one that you said, Callie, I'm gonna have to wait on that one when I get to the actions, like how these things look in action, because that one is controversial. The second one that you said, I'm gonna get to that one in a second. The second thing that a woman should be, and I think all women should be able to agree on this, is a woman should be feminine. Okay, and what does being feminine mean? It just basically means that you should be the opposite of masculine. A woman should be able to be clean, nice smelling, and feminine. I don't think that's too much to ask for, because you're already a woman, so you should already kind of be leaning towards your feminine side the same way as men. Supposedly, you're supposed to be leaning towards your masculine side. So I feel like, I'm not going to any other genders or sexual orientations. I'm just saying this is like a baseline. So, uh, yeah, exactly. You can't be pretty, walk around like Pig Fear from Charlie Brown. You are correct. So you got to develop a baseline, and when you develop that baseline, this is what I'm talking about. So the basic woman, you know, you have good hygiene, you keep a clean house, and you're feminine. Okay, and then the last thing that I feel like we can just start to break on, then we're going to start to go into those different things, because the Chinese version is, I think, honestly, I'm just going to be honest, I think that's the version that I'm not going to say most men, I'm just going to say I think there's a large number of men who want a woman that would fit into that category, based on what they said and based on how they kind of have set up their society, and even how most of their women kind of sort of are today. So it's like, if you kind of break it down, right? Depending on, like Asian women, let's just be honest, they seem a lot more docile. They seem a lot like reserved. They don't seem to, kind of stay in the background a little bit. White women, for the most part, depending on how they were raised, excuse me, the quote unquote, you have your Karens, or you have your highborn white women that kind of act a little different, right? But then you have like your regular white women who, will basically, they'll work construction, they'll do whatever, just like a man, whatever the case may be. I just think that we kind of see how you can kind of see how society even reflects today how it is. And then now when you look at what was going on in Africa, and then you reflect it to the black community in America, we have the closest, basically we're probably the only group of people on earth that live in a matriarchy. You understand what I'm saying? Like, the black community is a matriarchy. It's no way around that. So if you think about the rest of the globe or the rest of the world, it's very difficult to find any other group of people where their women kind of sort of dominate their culture. So I think for black people, that's where we are. But you got to look at it from a historical perspective. When I talked about earlier, African people have kind of sort of had that balanced culture the entire time. So that's the reason why, you can talk about some of the warrior queens from the Nubian Empire and things like that. And we know those existed, right? I'm not saying it was the norm, but things worked a little differently in Africa, So I think we're seeing some of those things carry out into today. And like I said, so 3 things: cleanliness, feminine, and then the last one I am going to use in a simple term, which is respectful. A woman should be respectful. It's not just to her significant other. A woman should be respectful, which, first of all, which is the main point of focus, is you need to have respect for yourself. Respect for self first, then everybody else after that. So if we had women that could aspire to those 3 things, and I understand people like, well, what women do you know not respectful? I'm like, I see social media all day. I know that every woman doesn't respect herself. You know what I mean? And same thing goes with men, but once again, I'm talking about the women for right now. Respect. I think those are a baseline. The same way I told men we're supposed to protect, provide, and procreate. Women, cleanliness, respect, and feminine. I think those are a very basic code that women could live by, a very basic code that women could teach their children, teach their daughters, on how to be. So then that way it could be some repeat. Hey, look, you got to, first of all, young lady, you got to respect yourself. Now, a lot of women say they teach their daughters that. I don't know. I'm saying that's not necessarily yet to be seen, but I think it's something that needs to be a little bit more focused on. Uh, Now, some of those, now we have that code set up the same way men do this, men do that. Um, I think those things would show up in some actions. Now, I'm gonna put a controversial one up here. She said the last two are subjective. I'm on. Let me see. She said the last two are subjective. Can you give me a little bit more on that? I'm about to open the phone lines up in a second, but when you say the last two are subjective, would you mind typing a little bit more about that? Because I want to get into that. But when we start talking about, like, what does that look like in action? This is controversial. Callie Bev says, fix that man's plate. Now, I'm gonna say, if I was creating it, yes, I do believe that is a part, because to me that kind of goes with that it's like that feminine aspect, right? Like, and we're gonna get into things like cooking and things like that too, because I believe that's all a part of being feminine, because women are the only people on earth who can bring life into this world. So being able to, number one, like bringing a man's plate, is you are providing sustenance and directly bringing it to, your husband, boyfriend, significant other, whoever. Same thing goes with your children. So I think an action that reflects femininity at times, that reflects femininity would be being able to cook, right? Because since you are the only people that can bring life into this world, then you have to be able to provide for not only yourself sustenance, but since you're the only people that can bring children into this world, you have to be able to provide for them as well. And you don't want to be eating out every night. You don't want to be doing all these other different things. So I think that's something that is very it's pretty simple and pretty straightforward. Let me go right here. She said respect for self. Everyone's metrics aren't the same. People are great. I agree. I agree. And that's the reason why I said, when I say respect, like when you kind of break it down, like respect for yourself, respect for others, and then we could just even go to the thing that we learn: respect for your elders. So if those were the three things that we broke down, I know that there are different levels of how somebody would, even, because you could even have a discussion or an argument about, a woman would say, oh, I'm respecting myself because XYZ, blah, blah, blah. But people from the outside looking at it might agree. So I do agree that would make it subjective as well. And then there are varying levels of femininity, right? So those two things, I mean, well, there are always varying levels of being clean as well, because depending on what culture you're from, you know what I mean, if you traveled the world a little bit, different levels of hygiene exist for different people. So that is what we're gonna do right now. So what I want to do now is I'm about to open up the phone lines here. So if you want to chime in on this topic and you want to have a little discussion, then, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone lines right now. So yeah, let's go ahead and wait a minute. I don't know why I can't find all my stuff tonight. I'm supposed to have all this stuff like one by the other, but I think, wait a minute, hold on. No, that's the one for the money. That's the other one. Yeah, here we go. All right, so the link is now in the chat for everybody. Like I said, I got to go around and I got to put it in Facebook, and then I got to put it on Twitter. So y'all just got to give me a little second here. But I would like to know, now I know there were some other things that we had talked about, that we would that could kind of like some more actions, right? Now other people would be like, I don't I think it has to be simple enough because there are some simple tasks, right? Like for example, I remember I discussed earlier about taking out the trash, right? Like that's a simple action. So are we going to go as simple as like should one of these type of codes, should it be like, are we going to go to a more family oriented environment where we could talk about I mean, like I don't want to go because people like to call it like a housewife. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, I'm hold on one second. I'm about to go on Facebook right now and put this code, so y'all bear with me. And while I'm posting these codes real quick, let me go ahead and give my boy uh, Birdie another shout out real quick because he the only thing he doesn't do is he still does a lot of things. So this is his one of his other business as a sponsor of the show. He also has a flight, not a flight, but a travel agency. So let me go ahead and roll that real quick. And yeah, I'll be with you in 1 second, Miss Callie. I see you just entered the queue, but let me go ahead and post this real quick.
Yes, sir, man. I had to bless my folk them with this shit, man. Yeah, I'm gone, man. I'm just showing what's going on, man. I'm dropping my folks out, man. You know what's happening. They wanted the resort for the week. Yes, sir. Fresh 500, man. That's all they did, man. Yes, sir. Good shit, big shit, man. How my folk rocking, man. You know what the hell going on, man. Yes, sir. We ain't gonna talk about it. Y'all holding out. Them folks supporting the good money. You know they doing that. Yes, sir. Balcony out the room on they motherfucking ass. Yeah.
Invested in myself and now they tell me that I got this. Gotta let her know that I can do it nice and slow and I can. Tryna curl her toes and I can let these bitches know who I am. Patient with my flaws, I'm about to take off. The drama might shake off, I might change the play call. I can't wait, so sweet, all night don't leave. I'm about to make it weak. I can't.
All right, so once again, like I said, you can always get in touch with my boy Bird. I see my friend Callie now. I know you probably can hear me, so I just need to know if you can just let me know if you're gonna be on camera, so you can just either keep your camera on and just do audio straight, but it's up to you. If you're ready to come in, you can just go ahead and give me a thumbs up, and we'll go ahead and get to talking. So just let me know, but yeah. You good? Let me see how. Okay, so you ready? All right, so let me go ahead and bring in one of the good friends, one of my good little Facebook homies that's always got a very good opinion on no matter what the topic is. I'm gonna go ahead and bring her into the stream here. Welcome, Miss Callie Bev. How are you doing? Hold on, you kind of froze up on me there for a second, so I'm gonna wait for that to clear up. But yeah, she should be coming in a second. I think her. Okay.
Yeah, my internet was messing up. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. It's fine. Like I said, I was running late, and I was supposed to have I had a nice little PowerPoint and everything that I want to put up. Anyway, it's all good. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you tuned in. I'm glad you called in. So let's talk about this now. Do you believe, I could be wrong because I'm not all the way versed in what's going on in quote unquote women culture, right? Is there already something that you would say, Solomon, this already exists?
You know what? It's a ball of confusion. I think we in the middle of people trying to rewrite the rules right about now.
Rewrite the okay now you can. What do you mean by that? Now, who? Okay, is there somebody specific that you would be saying trying to rewrite the rules?
No one specific, no particular podcaster or anything like that.
Okay.
That I'm willing to give publicity to, but
got you.
I would say the overall listeners,
Mm-hmm.
I would say of various podcasts,
right,
are trying to rewrite rules.
Okay. So give me an example of a rule that you have seen that is trying to be rewritten, because there are some that honestly I could think of that I was against as well. So I mean, because you came on the show a while back and we kind of talked about the I forget what they call it, the manosphere. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that thing, right? So you kind of talked about that a little bit. So when you say rewriting the rules, I know we gonna get back to that, but can you give me an example of a rule that you've seen people try to rewrite? Because I'm curious to see, and I'm gonna bring it back around. But a rule that you've seen somebody try to rewrite?
This 50-50 stuff.
Okay, is that
Uh,
so? Okay, so first of all, are you for the 50-50? You think that's cool, or are you? I mean, are you pro? What are your thoughts on 50-50 since we there?
I say if you want a traditional wife, because everybody's talking about all these modern women.
Okay,
Okay, you want a traditional woman, but you want her to be modern when it comes to finances and all that kind of stuff.
so so one rule that's trying to be rewritten is I want a modern woman as a man, but I only want to provide 50% for that modern woman.
No, you want a
A
traditional
traditional woman.
woman.
Sorry, I want a traditional
Hmm.
woman, right? But when it comes to finances, I'm all about equality.
Yeah,
I, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know you haven't been talking, but yeah, I don't agree with that. I feel like the more traditional that you want a woman, the more of her load you should be willing to carry as a man. Period. If that's what you want, because I feel like both ends are going to be attracting each other, right? Because if I'm a more traditional man and you're a more traditional woman, me saying, kind of sort of like the I want to take care of you shouldn't be a turnoff to you. It should kind of sort of be like, oh, okay, well, this is the type of man doing that. If I'm saying, oh, I want a real traditional woman, but I'm just letting you paid, you had the lights on a little bit longer than I did, so it's gonna be a 40 on. You know what I mean? You don't want that type of response. You know what I mean? So I think I could see that one being changed. I would say another rule that I've seen changed a little bit would be I don't want to get on no tangent about infidelity, but the infidelity rules are definitely people are trying to kind of finesse with that a little bit. Like I don't know how you finesse infidelity, but once again, my rule on this show is you set your own rules. So if you set your rules for monogamy, me and you and me to the end of time, that's what it's supposed to be. You didn't say anything else about no third parties, then you're now outside of your agreement. So that's the reason why I had this show, because I get into polyamory a little bit, but I just say if you set yourself up for monogamy, that's what you should practice.
yeah, yeah. The thing is that poly is being sold as it's not natural for a man to be in a monogamous relationship. So if I cheat, I'm only doing, what I was built to do as a man, spread my royal oats, sow my royal oats. You know what I'm saying?
Well, once again, because
But then
yeah, go ahead. No, I didn't mean to cut you off.
yeah,
Sorry.
but
Go ahead.
but then but it's only pulled out when it's talking about being monogamous. Before then it wasn't brought up, it wasn't an issue or anything.
Hmm. But see, that's my whole thing.
Um
Well, I would just say like one little thing that I always say on the show is you have to even define that. When people say poly, they're just like, oh, okay. If I'm somebody who, I hate this term identifies, but if I identify somebody as being polyamorous, right, that doesn't mean that I just get to do whatever I want to do. There's still supposed to be rules in the way that I quote unquote practice it. You understand what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that I'm just like, oh, I'm getting some good energy from her. Let me, blah, 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 blah. Oh, how you doing? No, that's not what it means. It just means that I am honest, that I'm honest about, what it is that I want, and I did not want necessarily, like, it's not an open marriage either. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you got to be able to set up what it is that you want. And I said, I am polygamous. I desire to have a second wife, but that's it. But I'm monogamous, hypothetically, in this situation with both of my wives. That's what it is. It doesn't mean just because I consider myself to be polyamorous that I'm just out there in an open marriage and I can just be as free as I want to, if that would make
here's
sense.
here's the kicker.
Here's the kicker.
I want to be poly, but I want to be poly on some 50-50 shit.
Once again, I, there you go. another thing I do not believe in, because I believe that once again, if I'm gonna look at myself as a figurehead, I'm responsible for this household, I'm responsible for that household, and I'm responsible for everybody. So if I am going to try to live that type of life, then once again, like they say, it pays cost to be the boss. You can't want those type of things and then not be willing to do whatever is necessary for all those things to apply. So, okay, now that we got a little background in, now you said that it is a little bit like, as far as women are concerned, when we talked about it to begin, you said that you do not it's kind of sort of like everybody's all over the place right now, right? There's no continuity with, honestly, there's no continuity with anybody. The only reason why I feel like there's continuity with men is because this has just been for a longer period of time. But it's not even like those things are really like concrete. I feel like it's concrete because we know them, but I don't necessarily feel like it's concrete in practice. So we talked about the three things that I said women should be, like your code, and we talked about cleanliness first. Do you have any objections to that?
Not at all.
Okay, so it's nothing wrong, and it's not being chauvinist or misogynistic for a man to say, I would like a woman to be clean, good smelling, good hygiene, and keep a clean house, room, wherever you live. That is a perfectly acceptable thing for a man to request of a woman, right? Okay. What about a woman being feminine?
That's one of those subjective things.
Okay.
I would say on the negative end, the whole feminine shit just means that I get to say whatever I want, and you're not supposed to have no kind of rebuttal.
Correct. Now
doormat behavior.
Right. Now, if we go on the negative end of where being feminine and we put the ism on it, that's where a lot of men are like, whoa, hold up, I don't like that. You know what I mean? But as far as a woman being, but on the positive side of femininity and just being feminine, what do you have any thoughts on that?
It's still like extra subjective. I would say that my level of femininity might not fit with someone else's. I'm not walking around in, shorts with the dick holes in them or nothing like that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, correct. Even that, some people would say that's not very feminine, but that's a kind of masculine thing for her to say.
Right.
But you know what I mean?
I can get the subjective, but the other thing about it is I would even say, like, let's get to the roots of it, right? Like when you're with your kids, right? Being a good mother to me is a feminine quality. You understand what I'm saying? Like how you kind of interact with your kids, like as a mother. Now you might not be the type of mother to, like, he fall down. You might be like, yo, get your little self. You know what I mean? Everything is subjective, but I'm just saying, like, there are just aspects of, you understand what I'm saying? Like being a mother, not like a specific way of being a mother, because I'm not going to say the woman who's like, yo, get up, man, you all right, versus the woman who's like, oh, my poor little baby, blah, blah. And neither one of them is more feminine than the other. I'm just saying, like, there's just like that basic maternal instinct to just take care of your child. Like, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, well, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And then when I say feminine, I agree with the subjectiveness of it, but I'm saying on because for those who don't know, she is married. So when we talk about feminine and the feminine qualities, a lot of times it's not something that the rest of the public is supposed to see. However you are with your man, you understand what I'm saying? Like there is an aspect of, like it could be as simple as, like, you cuddling with your man in bed or something simple like that. It's not even that big of a deal. You understand what I'm saying? Like there are multiple aspects to it. No, you good. Go ahead.
1 second.
No, you good. Go do your thing. So you can just mute yourself. So I think that there are multiple levels when you want to start talking about the feminine aspects of things, because she is right. It is a subjective subject, but I feel like a lot of times when you start talking about feminine, we want to make like a basic definition. I agree it is subjective, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like there are aspects that you're only supposed to show for your significant other anyway. You understand what I'm saying? Like it's kind of hard for you to, without putting your business out there, how you are feminine for your husband. You understand? The same way anybody else could explain it. So I feel like but it is a certain manner that you are with your special someone that you're not with the rest of the world. You understand what I'm saying? That's the feminine aspect that I would. So it's like when I say feminine, I'm talking about basic, like maternal instincts, right? And then just that basic kind of you with your significant other, and y'all two kind of had y'all little moments and stuff like that. Like, like for example, like something that my wife does that is very feminine is like, she just always likes to just kind of be like right next to me, kind of up under me. Now some people don't like that, right? But I feel like, or she'll grab my arm and pull it around her. I feel like, because she kind of wants me to either comfort her or hug her, or just show her some sort of affection. Like, to me, I think that is a very feminine quality versus, that's just me personally. I can't speak on everybody. I don't know what everybody do, but that's just basically what I'm trying to say when I start talking about basic levels of femininity.
Or like, like, or say if my husband has his friends over or something like that, and it's not one of his, his grilling sessions and everything,
Right.
I'll go on ahead and I'll let the men go ahead and drink their beers and everything like that, and I'm in the kitchen cooking whatever we cooking, I mean whatever we're eating for the get together or whatnot,
Right.
I have all the ladies in there with me, unless we smoking or something like that.
Exactly.
But
Yeah,
that
but
kind of
no,
stuff.
but once again, I would agree with that as well. Like, or even like, for example, when maybe one of your husband's friends comes to the house, you say, hey, you want something to drink? Just kind of sort of being like that hostess, kind of that the host of
Hmm.
your house, taking care of, making sure everybody's kind of good, you know. Also, like you said, sometimes letting the men go over there and have their way, and y'all kind of go in y'all corner sometimes is cool too. But I think like those are like basic things. But I think we're on the same page with that though. Those are the certain things that I think women do that display their feminine nature, and I think being a good host, host, is a another sign of being very feminine. I think that's a good one. And the
I think
go
I
ahead.
think part of the problem when strangers are discussing this with each other is the fact that you have no opportunity to really see how feminine someone is while you're debating them. You know what I
Correct.
mean? Especially if it's in a heated debate,
Mm-hmm.
because just because I come back with a response or something like that does not mean that I'm being masculine, or just because you put a slight dig in or something like that and then I
Uh-huh.
cuss you out, that doesn't mean I'm not being feminine anymore. There's two ways I can go about it. I can either
Correct.
cuss you out or I can hang up. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Right.
But people would say that the feminine thing would be to hang up, but not everybody likes to be, a doormat.
I don't.
But I would say a lot of times too, the most feminine thing to do is to have the last word.
I know that's something women like to do, but I think it's also about. But that's the other reason why you got to look at it. Like it's also about the setup, right? Like what is the setup? Am am I talking to you because I feel like I already know the answer? Or am I talking to you because I want your actual feedback? You understand what I'm saying? Because this conversation could go a lot of different ways if I was trying to tell you, number one, how to be feminine. If I was trying to tell you this is what women should do, but I'm just posing a question and asking for feedback to see if what I'm saying is crazy or is this something that is even feasible. It's all depends on how you want to approach a subject, and I think that's the reason why a lot of different people. But sometimes you can even say, but that friction, right? That friction is sometimes what draws people in. People want to see that. They don't want to see people play nice. They don't want to see you actually say, oh, you know what? I would like to add something to what you said. I would like to maybe, if we could kind of fix this little thing that you said over here. Yeah, I didn't necessarily agree with that, but they want to say, well, it's my, blah, blah. They kind of want that sometimes. You know what I mean? So I think it all depends on if what you're looking for. If you want to have an open, honest discussion and you're actually looking for solutions, or just even something that you can say, you know what, uh, I had a discussion and it made sense, and I was able to get my point across. I was able to say what I wanted to say. If you disagree, you disagree. If you agree, you agree. But it doesn't have to, like you said, being feminine is not just being agreed, like in that Asian where being too talkative could get you divorced. Like, no, we're not saying anything like that. All we're saying is that there are ways to do things. And like you said, you curse somebody out. I don't consider that being masculine energy. It would just, because once again, that is you being yourself as well. So I could agree with that. And the last aspect that we talked about on our little kind of simple three things was respect. And I said, basically the respect for yourself and the respect for others. And I know you said that was subjective as well. So could you kind of just kind of go a little bit deeper in that? Because I know you just typed it in earlier. So
Well, the first thing that came to mind when you said respect for self was dress code.
okay,
And my opinion of respect for self would be to respect my body, and and not show it for everybody with my dress.
correct,
Now, even when I was single, me personally, I'm just not built like that. I can get a little risque, to back out or something like that, but
right,
or like how Beyonce used to do back in the day in the
okay,
in the 90s. If she had on some short shorts, she had on the full top. If she had on like a kind of revealing top, then she would have on like long pants, or
right,
it's one or the other.
one or
It's
the other,
not
right.
both. You know what I mean? That would be. But see, some people would say I don't have any disrespect for myself because Ronnie Ho quotes, use what we got to get what we want type stuff. You know what I mean? And it's and it's like they wouldn't see themselves as having any less respect for themselves just because, I have cleavage and, my booty is hanging out the bottom of my shorts.
Right, and the reason why, and I know nothing's going to be universal. Even something's agreed upon. Sometimes you can try to hold the door for women, men, and they'll kind of look at you kind of funny sometimes. Anyway, so nothing is universal, right? It's very hard to try to get 100% compliance on anything, but I don't think the majority, and we can just try to speak on majority. If if my woman just happened to be driving me around and we need to get gas, and I hop out and I pump the gas, right? I don't think the majority of people wouldn't look at that and be like, why he ain't let her pump her own gas? You know what I mean? Like, it's not really as like this is one aspect, because you talked about dress code. Because I feel like the dress code is definitely going to be like a hot button topic versus like some of the acts and things that people could do, because I 100% agree with you. The dress code, the self-respect, that first starts to, what are you wearing when you leave the house? And it doesn't mean like you have to get dolled up to go and do that. Doesn't mean you don't have any respect. I'm not gonna get into the whole wearing a bonnet outside and all the rest
I
of
was
that.
just gonna say, I don't think that's self-respectful to go outside with a daggone bonnet on, but I
So,
mean,
well, once again, but you did say it was subjective, right? So I would say I think there is a subjective amount. Like for me, I would just say this: if we're talking about a comfort level, there can be some wiggle room sometimes, right? But you shouldn't be too comfortable that everything is like revealed. You understand what I'm saying? But at the same time, some people just say, "Oh, well, I didn't feel like," but you needed something. What at what level should you need to leave your house, right? So I once again I do believe that area is subjective, because I would say a bonnet. Now let me just be clear. A bonnet to me is acceptable in like a quick, like something quick. You are doing something and you might, let's say you were cooking dinner and you forgot one thing, okay? If you, once again, more than likely, let's say you're by yourself, okay? So you're a single woman. If you, because you are a single woman, need to go get one ingredient for the store while you're in the middle of cooking, I think that it is a little much to ask for you to have to kind of sort of, not saying you got to get dolled up, but to, I mean, I don't know, maybe your hair's not done, maybe you took it down, but
well, they have head wraps, so you don't have to go out. It's like the difference between wearing sweatpants and pajama pants. Okay,
got you.
they
Okay,
have head wraps that would be like the sweatpants. You know what I mean? But then
right.
you got your bonnets that are like your pajama pants.
So the bonnet, okay, so let me get this right. So once again, you could be educating me. Here we go. When you view bonnets, right, you view it as almost, it's nighttime attire, it's bed attire, right?
Within the four walls of your own home.
Within the
Yes.
four walls of your own home. Okay. And so, like you said, that's why you separated the pajama pants versus the sweatpants, right? Sweatpants to the store, perfectly acceptable from your perspective, correct? Pajama pants
Correct.
to the store, absolutely not, because that's confines of your house, right?
Right.
Okay, I get it now. Okay, we are okay. You have changed my mind on the bonnet now because I get it. I get what you're trying to say. Um, but I do believe, like I said, that self respect that you have for yourself will be reflected in um how you decide to, excuse me, show yourself to the world. Because the other thing I think, what you're dressed and what your appearance shows, especially depending on how revealing it is, it's almost like what message are you trying to send to the world, and how do you even value yourself, right? Like I would say, for example, let's say if a woman is very large, she has a very large chest, right? Then a lot of times she likes to make sure that's seen when she goes out. So from me as a man, it when I see it, I'm like, oh, yeah, she might understand that she has it or not, but she might almost feel like her chest is the main thing that she has to offer to the world. So that's the reason why a lot of times, or a woman with a big butt, they'll try to make sure you see it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times they might only feel like this is their contribution to the society, being a sexual object at times. What do you think about that?
I think that is very true. We want to be respected for who we are, but we also want the attention from our male counterparts. And that's where the confusion comes in because y'all are visual.
Correct.
Y'all are visual first. So we want that attention. And it's like, I don't know. I hate to put it back on the dudes, but I'm biased because I'm a girl. Um,
That was
but
what you did right there. That because I'm a girl, that was like if we could replay that, like that's feminine. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. What you just did right there, how you did it. Like, yeah, I hate to go back to the bed, but I'm a girl. I'm a girl. But anyway, I'm sorry. This how you did that. I was like, dang, that was real feminine. But go ahead. My bad.
my thing is that we try and get the attention of men. They say that they want X, Y, and Z type of female, but they're not giving them any of the attention. Whether it's good or bad attention is something that, nobody knows yet because everybody's on the outside looking in. But as far as everybody who is a potential, I'm trying to get at you, yeah, all we're going to see is, oh, well, such and such over there is getting all the attention. Maybe I need to go on ahead and, jazz this up a little bit and see if I
Mhm.
can go on ahead and get that attention from this dude.
Yeah, and I think that also goes to that you talked about rewriting the rules, right? Some people are getting the rules rewritten because they are setting themselves up to say, oh, I want a traditional woman that is, not one of these Instagram models that have a big social media following, not always posting a whole bunch of selfies of herself and revealing clothes. But once you get off of social media, once you go out into the real world, as a man, you have to say, well, what kind of drawed you in, right? So there is that fine line where you say, yeah, I want a traditional woman, but you want her to be dressed like a nun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't want that because nobody wants something that don't nobody else want.
That is
And that
correct.
goes both ways.
But that is the main thing that I'm looking at. Wait a minute, why am I? All right, Facebook is acting up again because I ain't posted nothing that don't belong to me. But they talking about my videos being blocked right now. So if you watching me
Oh,
out there, on
wow.
YouTube, yeah, I'm glad you came over here because apparently they said we blocked it. I don't know, maybe because I said only since women are the only people that can have children, maybe that did it. I don't know, but anyway, um, now let's talk about. We shouldn't even be. I'm not even going there tonight, but it's not even like.
Birthing people.
Yeah,
Birthing
no,
people.
I'm not using that term. I refuse to put that in my vocabulary. I refuse to put that in the atmosphere. No, I'm not using that term. Um, let's go to the last part that was a part of that respect because we talked about self-respect. Um, respect for others. How would you view that? Respect for others as women. I would say like and this is one of the stereotypes about. I would almost say it's almost like for black women, right? The quote unquote being loud in public, right? Like, is that, could that be included in that whole respect for others thing, or that be self-respect, or how would you view something like that? Because we just want to talk about having a general respect for other people.
Um, no, I would say that's a cultural thing because
Okay.
you get us together, we get to kick in, it's a wrap. I
Okay.
don't care how old you are. You know what I mean? From pretty much every class level or any
Mhm.
socioeconomic class or anything. My mom, when she fusses, it's like she's throwing cotton balls at my ears. She ain't doing nothing because she's very, very, very soft spoken. Okay.
Okay.
However, get her with her sisters or her friends, and this, hey girl,
Mhm. So let's go. Not necessarily just like the volume level of like talking thing like that, because I agree that is a culture thing. Let's go to the more or less the world star type material, right? Or like, is that a quote unquote the the like you said, like we're not talking about like getting together having a good time, not necessarily that. Let's talk about the like maybe like a loud argument in public with your significant other, or getting loud with another woman that is in your general vicinity. Do you feel that goes there? You still will put that under culture as well?
uh, mm, you said like getting into with another female or arguing with your significant other in front of someone else.
Let's say,
Okay.
right, yeah, so you and your boyfriend are out to eat, and then it's like you're at a restaurant or something like that, and you hear another couple arguing halfway across the restaurant. You understand what I'm saying? Something
If
like
he
that.
tries to squash it, like, squash it or get up and leave or something like that, and, she keeps going, she doesn't follow his lead on that one, I wouldn't say that that's feminine at all.
Okay. And well, I would say like, but would that go to a kind of sort of like, would you kind of put that in the respect category a little bit? Because like, for example, if you out at a restaurant and you got your children there, and some lady is just no, now she could just be going off on her man. I mean, loud cursing, and it's like, to me, when you should be able to understand your environment where you're in. Same thing like if it was at a job or something, like, it's a respect. I mean, that's another part of respect for your environment, right? If you are at work, you handle yourself accordingly if you want to continue working there. The same way, like, if you're out to eat or you're out somewhere, you handle yourself accordingly if you want to stay in that place. I believe sometimes, and I know it gets blown out of proportion because of social media and people are always waiting for some sort of moment they can catch on camera. But I do believe that that's an aspect of it, because I feel like a woman who lived by the code that we would want the majority of women to aspire to, I should be like, look, I understand you're upset right now, but this isn't the place. Can we discuss this later, or we can leave now? You understand what I'm saying? But I don't want to make a scene, and that should be enough to squash, or at least deter it for a little bit of time, and you discuss it later. But I think that's one of those things that, to me, a woman who meets this basic code would know, okay, yeah, there's no, I ain't happy, but we out to eat, so I'm about to order me a couple of drinks. There's no, we are coming back to this, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But I think like somebody who doesn't necessarily meet this code would just be like, nah, we about to have this month, like they're
I
not
mean,
gonna
that's respect for
like,
your significant other too. Because not only are you not trying to, you shouldn't be trying to embarrass yourself, you shouldn't be embarrassing him neither.
that is, let me add that to the order. So see what I'm saying? You see how it expanded? We just had self-respect and respect for others. Now we got respect for your environment and respect for your significant other, or respect for your partner, husband, whoever that is. Yeah, I think all of those things go into that respect category. And it should be, I mean, almost like you say, you should know that it should basically be, kind of sort of like standard. But I think standard, that goalpost has moved so much, especially once you said, with the introduction of certain people, with the conversations that are had all over social media, podcasts, different segments of the podcasting world, society, whatever. Standard is not standard anymore. So it's like, I feel like we have to kind of get back to basics to just establish a baseline for uh well, I'm already off of YouTube. Well, I'm still on YouTube, so but I don't know. Facebook, they must have put some new algorithm in when they went down for 5 hours just today. But YouTube, we still good. So there has to be a baseline for men, and there has to be a baseline for women. So then that way we can, when we start to expand, we still have basic good man human being, basic good woman human being right there, and then we can start to expand on those different things because standard is no longer standard.
I would say some of that stuff would go, both ways, man
Mhm.
code and especially the respect one, that would go
Yep.
both ways for men and female. That's just basic, well, for me, I would consider that, I will file that under basic human decency.
Right, but once again, that respect level has now changed because just because I pay all the bills, that don't mean I'm allowed to disrespect my woman because I wouldn't want anybody I wouldn't want nobody to either talk to my woman in a certain way. Anything I wouldn't want any outsider to do. I wouldn't do that to my, what I mean? I would try not to do that to my woman, except for, when you got to kind of sort of argue or whatever the case may be, there's a way to do that. But I still wouldn't want no man yelling and screaming, especially putting his hands on my woman. You understand what I'm saying? So I feel like that respect is something that is kind of went that way because it's like, I don't really have to respect you if I take care of you. You know what I mean? Like, I think that is something that is honestly something that's came to the forefront. If I take care of you, I don't have to respect you. You know
Yeah,
what I
like they think that money is like this high value shit is supposed to be some kind of free pass or whatever like that. Like your wild card when you play Uno or something like that. You know what I mean?
It's a big joker. It's the big joker.
Yeah, big. I well, see, I don't see. Take my black card because I don't know how to play spades and all that kind of stuff. Well, I know how to play, but I only played once in my whole life, and that was
It's all
like
good.
two, 3 years ago.
Okay, but watch this though. You play dominoes?
I can, but I count real slow,
Okay,
so
well
I
I'm just
got
saying
half of my black card.
it's all good. You from Cali. I was gonna give you the benefit of the doubt because you could play dominoes. I'm like, y'all do things a little different in Cali, so I'm gonna give you a had card because at least you can play dominoes. But I would agree as well because once again, I always like to keep things in balance, and I'm going to talk about next week what needs to, the chivalry code. It's time for an update. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's time for an update, though.
Well, let
I
me
think we need to just stop trying to reinvent the wheel.
well, when I say when I say it's time for an update, what I'm saying is like, okay, opening doors, coming together. Like, to me, it's once again respect. Where's respect at in the chivalry? It's not there. There are things that need to be kind of sort of understood by men globally, or even we can just talk about for the U.S. for example. There are things that need to be understood by men as well, and it needs to be more socially acceptable that these things kind of sort of be adopted. It's almost like when we talk, we're not going into politics, but when you talk about the Constitution and you say there need to be amendments to the Constitution based on some things that are going on right now. That's what I feel like. There needs to be some amendments to chivalry because there are some topics and some things now that we have obvious. It's like looking at, it's not like they call it the elephant in the room looking at us, but we're just like, you know what? I'm perfectly fine with it the way it is because I think, with these introduction of some of these people, the bar for men has been lowered. And when I say the bar for men has been lowered, because uh, I separate it because I say, a this so-called high value man, that's all he is. It's strictly financial. Just because you're a high value man doesn't mean you're a good man. That's the difference. You understand what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of people like to relate how much money you make to the value that you have as a man. Don't get me wrong. Being a provider is a big aspect of being a man. Don't get me wrong, but it can't be the only thing. You understand what I'm
That's
saying?
the American way.
Nah, you are correct. But it's like, you know what I mean? Like you said, I mean, I know, like, I've seen some of the women that called him today. I know who you're talking about, that certain guy's show. And they'll be like, well, I dated the guy. He made a lot of money, but he couldn't talk. He had no game. He had no conversation. He had nothing It's just he just made a lot of money, and for some women that's acceptable. But I'm saying, does that necessarily make him a good man just because he makes a lot of money? I don't know. The same way is if you don't make a lot of money, that shouldn't just automatically qualify you as a bad man, right?
No.
It shouldn't.
However, if you run into that woman who is more so a traditionalist, because I mean, either way, inbred in us, whether we want to ignore it or not, the man likes to make more money than the woman.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They can say they don't and they want this 50-50 stuff, and you should be able to go out with the Burger King flipper or something like that. And I'm just being facetious. They don't really say Burger King, but
No.
they don't necessarily want a woman that works at Burger King either. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's weird. I would say an amendment though. One amendment that I would like to add.
Okay, so
would
here's
be
the
that
proposed amendment. I
if
had to type this down so we can bring this up in the mid meeting later on. Go ahead.
my amendment would say if a man holds the door open for you, you are obligated to say thank you.
I think that's a very simple amendment to the rules, and we had kind of talked about that as well. But I think that's one that like I said, another young lady told me as well that saying thank you when somebody holds the door is a very simple thing. It goes a long way, but yeah, that's where we're at. So, Miss Callie, I appreciate it. I have reached the hour mark of my show tonight. You got one more? Hey,
One more thing.
What else would you like to add? Go ahead.
I would just not another amendment per se, but I wanted to expound on that a little bit.
Sure.
That kind of stuff right there, where they hold the door open but don't nobody say thank you, is the reason why we have these posts on Facebook and everything. I know you probably saw that post too about pumping gas for your woman. That's why all of these things are. That's partially why all of these things are questions now.
Yeah.
Because it goes unappreciated. So it's like, okay, well now people start keeping lists. Like, okay, well I hold the door open, they don't say thank you. Okay, I pumped the gas, they don't say thank you. They don't appreciate that shit. I buy her so and so and so and so. She think I'm supposed to do that shit. That goes unappreciated. So you know what I'm saying? That just starts souring attitudes.
But I think it goes once again. I'm gonna flip it and go back the other direction, right? But I believe that goes both ways. Like when you start talking about appreciation, right? Like you talked about earlier, friend comes over, hey, you want something to drink? Boom, you pop the top on the beer, hand it to him. Thank you. We can do the same thing. It's just not you just grab the beer, all right, then, and you just keep going. No, you say thank you. I am a firm believer in getting my plate brought to me, right? When my plate is brought to me, oh, thank you, I appreciate this. You know what I mean? I really enjoy that. It should be that mutual. Thank you very much for making this meal. You know what I mean? Like I cooked for my wife last Friday, and you know, I had already made her plate, right? But she just had to like basically heat it up. So like even when she was sitting there, she sat down next to me with her plate and she started eating. And she was like, "Oh my God, thank you for cooking dinner tonight." Not a big deal, you know what I mean? But as a man, I would be more inclined to cook again. Why? Because I felt appreciated, and I think that's the one thing that a man, like the Bible says, man cannot live on bread alone. I don't think man can live without being appreciated. You understand what I'm saying? Because if as a man you don't feel appreciated for what you do, you start to feel like, honestly feel useless. Like, what is your purpose? What are you supposed to be doing? Because all the wonderful things you think you're doing, nobody sees it, and especially women. Women don't appreciate me for what I bring or for what I do. So I think appreciation is definitely, probably need to add that to the list somewhere. Appreciation is definitely something. But did you have anything else that you would like to add before I go ahead and bid everybody adieu and try to figure out why Facebook blocked this for no reason at all? Because we didn't talk about anything that shit. This is lighthearted conversation. You know what I mean? Nothing I talked about earlier Should have been something to get us blocked, and even the music and all the other stuff that I use, I had the rights to all of that. So if you didn't watch the stream, you can go catch it on YouTube. I'm gonna also put this on Libre TV as well. But do you have anything else for the people before I let you go and I go ahead and wrap things up?
Nope, you can save it for another week.
All right, well, I appreciate you tuning in, you checking in with me today, and I appreciate you calling in. And yeah, I will see you next time. I have a good little topic that kind of draws your attention. So yeah, we'll definitely chat again. Appreciate you calling in.
No problem. Bye-bye.
All right, see you later. Bye bye. All right, so we reached the 111 mark. I'm looking to see if anybody else is gonna call. I don't know what happened to Facebook. I apologize if you're watching on Facebook. Twitter should still be up. I think YouTube is definitely still up because once again, not sure why Facebook was doing some hating. Maybe they put in a hater algorithm while they was shut down for about 5-6 hours yesterday. But we're gonna check that out. So I apologize to whatever happened to my Facebook feed, but I am going to get that fixed here pretty soon. I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Like I said, this show was about should there be a code for women. I apologize because, like I said, I had some very nice PowerPoint slides that I wanted to put on the screen at the same time. But, hey, you know, you're dealing with technology. Everything don't go that way. So, once again, this has been Pollywood. We'll be back next Tuesday, as always. We always got the live callers, as always. I'm trying to get a special guest for one show that's going to hang out with me for the whole time. So I'm definitely working on that. I'm trying to get this brother Kevin Wesley. He has a very interesting story that I think would be good for this show. So I'm trying to get in contact with him. Anybody know Kevin Wesley? You can connect me either on Facebook, Twitter, any of my social medias, anything like that. But hey, until next time, man, this has been Pollywood, and I'll see everybody next Tuesday.